Welcome back, G's. Welcome back to Tyson's Alchemy. And today I've got a fun one for you. We're going to go over what makes a top G and why there's only one top G right now, but we're going to investigate, has there been other top Gs before, and could you be the next one? So obviously the term top G is related to Mr. Andrew Tate himself. You know that. Everyone watching this is probably a fan of his, right? Now he gave himself that name, right? Very humble. But let's define what a top G is first, and then let's go over those characteristics, and then let's go through history and check and see if there potentially was a top G before top G. Now obviously shout out to Emery Tate, the original one. He's obviously the original top G, right? So I'm not going to touch into him, but basically, obviously, he's the OG before Tate, right? That makes sense. He talked a lot about his father's effect on him in his life. So shout out to Emery. He's obviously the top G. But let's talk about historical figures, people over the past maybe 100 years that could have and maybe were the top G of their generation. So first off, we need to define what makes a top G. Number one is confidence and charisma. So obviously everyone admires Tate's charisma and the way he can just be himself, right? That's the energy of a top G. Doesn't give a fuck, does what he wants, he's confident. Number two, entrepreneurial success. He's wealthy, he's successful, he knows how to run a business or two. Number three, fitness and discipline. Top G's fit, strong. He can beat someone up, he can kill someone with his bare hands, as he likes to say. He's got that ability to destroy, he's got that ability to work hard, he can box for hours. He's got that animalistic but crafted manliness about him where he can, I mean, this is turning into a bit of a, yeah, we're not, this isn't a grind fest for top G, but we're going over the characteristics, so fitness. Number four is unapologetic. So he is who he is and he doesn't apologise. His opinions are his own, he doesn't apologise. Even when he offends people, he's like, well, fuck it, suck it up. I am who I am. I say what I said. Do something about it, bruv. Number five, he is motivational. So he can inspire you with his words and with his actions. Number six is his luxury lifestyle. So obviously he's got the cars, the flashy houses, the women, the money. He's got that inspiring lifestyle that inspires other young men and makes them dream about what they could be if they put in the hard work. Number seven, the defiance of being cancelled. He refuses to be cancelled. When he first got taken down off Instagram and social media, he refused. He quickly got back on it. He joined Rumble and he decided to charge forward. Most people would cave in and maybe apologise and maybe think about changing their ways. No, not top G. He put the foot on the gas and sped forward and said, I'm gonna show you who the fuck I am. Number eight is his focus on masculinity. Okay, he is a man. He's very proud to be a man. He wants to be strong, wants to be big and rich and powerful. Number nine is his mental toughness. He can deal with any situation. He can get locked up in the gulags and he can come out a bigger, stronger man. His mental iron mind means he is unshakable and people will try and shake him and continue to do so, but he will not shake. And number 10 is obviously his association with beautiful women. He confidently will say he can get whatever woman he wants, and I can tell you through working for him and with him that even I get a lot of DMs of people begging to be, yeah. So it's true. He does, you know, he's not as good looking as I am. Let's just put that out there. But because of all the dynamics, these rich, you know, the 10 reasons, like I've just said, he can pretty much get whatever he wants. Okay. So we've went over the 10 things that make. We've went over the 10 things that make a top G, and so let's reflect on those and let's try and pinpoint other people throughout history that could have potentially been the top G of their time. So number one, Muhammad Ali. Now he was a big cultural icon. Still was, even past his time. He left a legacy. He was a top G of his time because he defied the rules and regulations that people put on him. He was obviously a black man coming up through a time where it was still difficult to be a black man, And he changed the game of boxing by being different. He confidently told people what he was going to do before he did it. He had this energy and charisma that could pick anyone up in a room. Now, I'm not sure if he got a lot of bitches. I'm not sure if he flashed the cash, but I do know he was a top G of his time because he was charismatic, he was kind to everyone, he inspired a lot of people, and he changed the trajectory of sport for black men and inspired a lot of people. Number 2, James Dean. So a famous actor, he was in a lot of films. He was loved by women, he was loved by men. Men like tried to dress like him, they wanted to be like him. He was in all the movies at one point, and obviously before everyone started making movies and technology advanced, where back in the day you'd just go see the one movie that was out, James Dean would be in it, and he was the G. He was the guy that everyone wanted to be like, and obviously this is before my time, but this is what I've researched. And yeah, he was the top G of his time. Everyone wanted to be like him. Frank Sinatra. I did it my way. Nailed it. So big ol' Frankie was one of the top leading singers of his time, his generation. He left a legacy, and he was so powerful, he was connected with the mafia, and he could basically go wherever he wanted, buy whatever he wanted, coming across Europe, do whatever he wanted in London, go back to Vegas in America, do whatever he wanted there. He had connections, he networked like a G. He was a top G of his time. Right, next one is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now this guy changed the film industry by being the first big, massive, muscly guy to really take the film industry by the throat. Now obviously there was big men in films before, but no one had quite done it like Arnie. So this big guy comes over to America, starts winning all the bodybuilding competitions, and he's very determined to be the best ever, and he does become the best ever, and he wins loads of them. Then he wants to get into acting, because that's what the top Gs do. They move on to the next thing. They don't stall, they don't wait around. They don't just enjoy the handouts and move on and conquer more. And he went on and conquered films, and he became one of the leading biggest actors in that generation, him and Sylvester Stallone. And he was getting all the bitches, he had all the money, he invested a lot of his money into property nice and early. He became wealthy beyond wealthy, right? And then he moved on and got into politics as well, and just, he doesn't stop. So he's still going now, still goes to the gym now, and whatever you think of him politically, he was a top G of his time. You know, there's a funny video of him smoking a cigar, talking about how he does whatever he wants, which kind of sums him up. And there's a lot of women came out since then talking about some of the parties that they had with Arnie, and good times, let's just say that, good times, my guy. Next one is Tupac. Tupac Shakur made some epic tunes, changed how rap was made in those days in the 90s. Obviously he died early, he was quote unquote killed, we don't know, maybe it was a setup, who killed him? P. Diddy maybe, who knows? All conspiracies. But he was a top G of his time. He came to change the game a little bit. He started harmonising about positive stuff in the end, and obviously the Matrix didn't like it, because obviously if you've done any research, the Matrix wants rap to be degenerate and talking about gangs and violence and you know, sex and money. And he did start off that way, obviously getting into the game, and then he realised, what's going on, what am I doing, fuck the Matrix, I'm going to start singing about how people can change and how people can help each other and how people should work together. And the Matrix did not like that, but he said, fuck it, I'm going to still do what I want. And he went to prison, he came back out of prison and carried on being a G. He had a short-lived life, but he was a top G of his time. He was very well respected, he had a lot of network, he had a lot of money, and yeah, it was a sad ending for him. But if you go back and listen to his tunes, his early tunes are very good, but his newer music before he was killed was peak Tupac. It was really good. He obviously sang with a message. He was one of the first kind of black rappers to really try and put a profound message in rap, which obviously now everyone's kind of doing that, but at the time it was like, whoa, what's this Why are you telling me to better myself? Why aren't you just telling me to go to the club and fuck bitches, you know? So, and obviously that inspiring aspect of the list of 10 things that make a top G definitely had some of them. Right, the next one is a man called Sean Connery, the original James Bond. Now this guy was an absolute G. Obviously he's an actor, so he plays in films and stuff, and when, you know, back in the day when you're an actor and you're doing well, that's a pretty big thing, because like I touched on earlier, there isn't a lot of films coming out, so if you're the main G, James Bond was a huge success, and he was the man that looked cool in the films. He got all the women, he had obviously all the money coming in, but there's a video of him, and he talks about masculinity, and he talks about his place in social settings and with women, and if you watch the video, it's very similar to the mindset of Top G himself. He believes women have a place, he believes men have a place, and he unapologetically is himself, and he doesn't care. And there's a woman interviewing him, and she's like, well, isn't that a little bit offensive? And he's pretty much like, I don't care, I do whatever the fuck I want, because I'm Sean Connery, I'm James fucking Bond. So yeah, he is a top G of his time, sadly not with us anymore, but inspired many men to want to dress up in a tux and look cool and say, shaken, not stirred. Right, the next one I've got is Michael Jordan. Now this guy was a relentless motherfucker, and he inspired so many people because he refused to step off his throne. He came up through basketball, he got let go, someone said, nah, you're not good enough. He went, fuck you, I am good enough, and he showed them. And that's what a top G does, he sticks to his word. So then he becomes like the best basketballer ever, starts like hammering in loads and loads of points, he goes to Chicago Bulls, starts winning, turns their fate around, blah, blah, blah. But then further down the line, he's getting older, and everyone's like, ah, he's finished, and he still keeps winning, and he's got this, you know, there's a documentary on Netflix about him. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you do, because it's very inspiring. But he's got this attitude about him, which he just refuses to lose, which is the epitome of the attitude of Top G himself. Refusing to settle, refusing what people tell you. Even if 10 people around you are saying, you can't do this, a Top G will say, yes, I can, and I will. Now sit down and watch me. And that's the mindset of a top G. So Michael Jordan was an absolute ruthless animal. There's lots of books on him as well that are worth a read. He just didn't give a fuck, he was going to win regardless. Doesn't matter how he's going to do it, he will win. And yeah, I suggest you go watch the documentary on Netflix, it's very inspiring. And he was definitely a top G of his time, obviously still alive, still chilling, making loads of money off his success. He left a legacy for his family and his kids. And yeah, definitely a top G. Right. Wouldn't be a list of potential top Gs if I didn't touch on Mr. Hugh Hefner. I don't know what you heard about me, but a bitch can't get $1 out of me. No Cadillac, no perms you can't see. Then I'm a motherfucking P.I.M.P. Obviously invented and developed the Playboy, which at its time was an incredible breakthrough. People, obviously, through every dawn, every age, are always interested in sex, always interested in beautiful women, and this guy monetized the fuck out of it. What a G. Now, obviously, later on, he just looks like a creepy old man that's still trying to get laid, but if you're going to be a rich old man, are you not still going to be trying to get laid when you're older? Probably, right? So, I assume most people, if they could, would also live that life. But maybe it's empty, Tyson, there's no love. Maybe, but he seemed fairly happy to me, being an old guy walking around in his dressing gown, getting laid all the time with young women, so, you know, each to their own. But why he was a top G of his time is because he had the courage and the balls to create something like this. And once he built that platform of success, it was endless for him. Women wanted to be a part of it. Because believe it or not, there are women out there that want to live that lifestyle. There are also some that don't, and they want to settle down and be family women, and that's great, because we need those. But there's women out there that want to live that lifestyle where they want to be around rich men and they don't mind being the fun part of a rich man's life, right? So anyway, so he developed Playboy and it became a monumental success. Rappers, film stars, everyone wanted to go to the Playboy mansion, and it became a legacy. Obviously he's passed away now, but Playboy continues, a little bit more subdued now. But back in the day, it was raunchy parties, rich people, money flying everywhere, people doing all kinds of good stuff, good times everywhere. So yeah, he was definitely a top G of his time, whether you like him or love him, or I don't give a fuck, but he's definitely on the list. Some other honourable mentions of our time, of this time that we're in, that's still alive: Conor McGregor. Obviously Super G, had the mindset of a G, refused to lose, predicted his own future, came up through the ranks. Now he's got multiple businesses, an absolute entrepreneur now, he's got loads of success. He walks around like he's the top G, and he potentially is another top G of our time. Now, not without his flaws. I'd say that Mr. Andrew Tate seems a little bit mentally more sharper than maybe Conor McGregor is. Conor does seem to have some leniency on substances, it would seem. But I don't believe any man's perfect, and Andrew Tate's definitely not perfect. But he does seem a little bit sharper than Conor. Conor seems to like to, what's the word? Get involved in certain scenes, should we say, and just to enjoy his life. I've got no problem with it. I think he's a G. What makes a top G for me is the main point is that he's just unapologetically himself. And for me, when I look at Conor McGregor, he's just being himself the whole time, doesn't care, enjoys his success, walks around like the big man because he is the big man, and he's being the big man, and that's it to me. Will he make mistakes? Could he be a bit of a prick? Of course he could. We all could. But he's living his best life, being the top G of his life. Next honourable mention is Mr. CR7, Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo. Took the football game to a whole new level. This whole argument, Messi versus Ronaldo, goes on and on. I'd say Messi has more natural talent, and I'd say Ronaldo worked on his talent over and over and became an absolute G. And for me, that's what makes him a top G, because he doesn't settle. He doesn't go, oh, well, Messi's got natural talent, so that's not fair. He goes, now, well, fuck that. Fuck natural talent. I'm going to show you how good hard work is. Now, obviously, Ronaldo's got a lot of natural talent, but we'd argue Messi has more natural talent, and Ronaldo went, fuck it, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to show you, I'm going to match his levels anyway, through hard work and determination and discipline. So he is a top G, lots of luxury items, lots of money, lots of success, lots of women around him, a family now, he's settling down, he's got multiple businesses, he is a top G. Another honourable mention is maybe Elon Musk.
Glock in my lap, everywhere. Most these rappers count, I ain't giving doubt. Glenwood to the flat, used to rock.
To me, still a bit of a dork, but the fact that he can go up against people and say, you know, you don't own me. You know, there's that clip of him saying, come after me all you want, I don't care. He's got a little bit of that top G mindset. I would argue that he's maybe got some, potentially got some sinister thoughts and beliefs, but that's for another video. But you know, he's obviously doing a lot for human race and progressing us, whether that's a good or bad thing, it's happening. And yeah, he doesn't really give a fuck, so he has to be up there in the list. He's obviously one of the richest people in the world, and Mr. Top G himself does always talk about his respect for Mr. Elon Musk, so we'll find him on the list. Next is Mr. Kanye West. Or Ye, as he likes to be called now. Obviously, he is a top G of his time. He might be deemed as to be going off the rails a little bit now, but I will say, obviously, I grew up listening to his music, so I'm a big fan, but he refused to settle. If you watch his documentary, he refused the no's. People said no. He went, no, I'll decide, I'll show you. So he had the mindset. He then developed rap music into a whole different genre, which is like using samples and using his own vocals, and then using technology to change his vocals, and then all this type of stuff that led on to inspiring other people. His music was amazing. It still kind of is, even with his Heil Hitler tune that he's got out. It's still pretty good, to be fair. And yeah, he just refuses to be told what to think. And again, this is the epitome of a top G, that mindset you need. I would argue he's not as disciplined. He doesn't take care of his body as much. He does have a leniency, you know, like I mentioned with Conor McGregor before, to kind of involve himself in more pleasures than discipline. But each to the fucking own. He's still a G, still lives the life he wants, and even through all the shit he's went through the past maybe 5-10 years, he refuses to back down. He will never lay down. He will always stand up and take the fight. And that is the mindset of a top G. Now obviously he inspires millions as well, super rich. Even though they've tried to break him, he's still got money, he's still got wealth, and he's definitely on the list of being a top G of his time. So I'd say maybe one last honourable mention is maybe like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You know, I know he's a little bit unpolitical and he doesn't voice his opinions in a masculine way as maybe people want him to, but you know, I grew up watching him as a wrestler. He came through and then he went into acting and then he conquered all the movies, and now he's super rich and he's got like his own tequila business and all this stuff. And I would argue he's inspired a lot of people. I definitely found him inspiring. He's obviously not as out there with his masculine thoughts and stuff like that, but again, each to the fucking own. He's trying to live his best life on the straight and narrow path, and I don't have a problem with it. He's really good in the Ballers series. If you haven't watched Ballers, I suggest you go watch that. It's quite inspiring. And yeah, I would say he's a G because he didn't stop, he didn't settle, he pushes for more success. His discipline is out of this world. If you have a look at his routine, he just fucking refuses to settle down. He gets up at stupid times, he works out, he eats constantly to keep growing. I would argue he's a G, but that's just my opinion, and this is my opinion on a list of top Gs. Now, you might say, Tyson, you've missed this person. Tyson, I'll have missed loads of people. That's where you come in. You can let me know in the comments. Actual top Gs. Now, I've had a conversation with Tate before about, is there anyone out there that actually inspires men the way he does? And I threw a couple of people back and forward. I mentioned like maybe David Goggins, and then we spoke about how David Goggins like just runs and runs and runs, even though he shouldn't because his knees are fucked. And we thought, well, is that inspiring to keep running and destroy your own fucking knees? Like, yes, you need to push through mental barriers, but isn't it inspiring to actually destroy your body so you can't perform? Like, is he dangerous? You know, potentially he is. I think David Goggins definitely comes on that list, especially for the turnaround that he went from a fat fuck to a G. But the conversation we had went back and forward because we couldn't pinpoint someone that hadn't maybe cooked out to society or changed their opinion or had maybe cooked out to COVID, or, you know, these people have kind of cooked out to someone over time. But that list, that big list of 10 things where you get the women, you get the fame, or you get the luxury lifestyle, you get the money, you get the entrepreneurial success, does he tick all them? Maybe not quite, right? One last honourable mention from me would be Mr. Elvis Presley. The king of rock and roll. Now, why was he a top G of his time? Because, you know, you might think, well, he was just a singer and he even wore makeup sometimes. Well, the reason he was a top G of his time is because no one had done it the way he'd done it before. He decided to start singing black people's music as a white man, baller, right? Obviously, he grew up around black people, he listened to black music, and then he starts singing it and performing. He starts gyrating his pelvis on stage and dancing. And when I tell you all the ladies dropped their panties for him, I mean they took him off and threw them right into his face. He was the first guy to get that type of adulation. So he was definitely a top G of his time. Obviously it ended quite sad and he got manipulated by his manager, Mr. Colonel Parker, and stuff like that. But if you look into the Elvis story, it's there's no doubt in my mind that he was a multi-billionaire. He bought his own land. He's got Graceland. I mean, obviously he's dead now, but his family now make millions and millions of pounds off Graceland itself because of Elvis Presley. He still has the most sold records in the world, even though he's dead. He's still having people stream and listen to his music now because he left a legacy. And that era where he was alive, he was untouchable, connected to the government, connected to the president, could do what he wanted, flew everywhere. And even though it was a bit of a sad end because he was getting manipulated by the mafia and stuff like that to kind of perform in the same space, which was Vegas, and do shows over and over again relentlessly, he had to rely on drugs and stuff like that, right? It's a bit of a sad end, bit of a different time. But that kind of 20-year period before it went downhill pretty fast for him, he was untouchable. He even had to go do some service in the army, but then he didn't really have to do the army service. He kind of went on the side a little bit, got his own house on the side, all the women and stuff like that. It's a whole story. But he was definitely a top G of his time. So, what do you think? Who else should be on the list? Do you have a top G mindset? Can you be the next one? Do you refuse to settle, or will you become the top G of your life? You don't need to be Andrew Tate. Be you, be yourself. You can inject that energy into yourself. You can put that energy inside you and decide that you want to be the top G of your life and refuse to settle down. And I suggest you do, because why not become the top G of your life? It's not about the money or the bitches or the fame, but it's about refusing to not be the best version of yourself. That's what a top G mindset is. Being the best version of yourself, refusing to indulge in stuff that's going to bring you down. Yes, enjoy life, enjoy the pleasures of life, but when you've earned it, earn the pleasures. Okay, so tell me who I missed off the list. Who do you think's a potential top G of their time? Maybe it's someone that's passed that from the old days, or maybe there's someone around now that you think should be on the list. Are you going to be the top G of your life? Let me know. Okay, so remember, self-hypnosis is the key.